What's up? What's up? What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to TD Fans Talk, home of the real Miami Dolphins. It is your boy TD. Don't forget to check me out on Twitter at TD Fans Talk. Instagram is TD Fans Talk, and also you can find my content at dolphinstalk.com. And make sure that you check out Collider Sports as well. I'm working with them. We have a collaboration that we're working on now every week. I just posted my first video over there today. So, guys, make sure y'all go check out Collider Sports as well. Shout out to everybody. Man, YouTube must be giving some real notifications. Man, we got 50 in the room in 30 seconds. So, yes, what's going on, everybody? What's up? What's up? I see y'all coming in the room. Let me give y'all some shout outs real quick. Let me see who was first in the room. Who was first in the room? Pete. Oh, my gosh, Pete. Y'all let Pete beat y'all in the room? Come on, man. He usually lagging behind thinking about Rosen, but hey, Pete is in the house, y'all. Shout out to Pete, man. Yes, stack that like button, guys. We got 50 people in the room, 20 likes. Y'all hit that like button on your way in. We're going to talk some Miami Dolphins football. The Ravens are behind us. It's time to focus on the Patriots. But the first part of this show today, I want to go ahead and do a lot of Q&A. I want to see what's on you guys' mind. I want to answer a lot of the questions that you all may have or what you're worried about or what you're thinking right now. So be sure to leave your comment in the comment section. If it's a question, I'm going to make sure that I do my best to answer it, all right? So go ahead. You might as well start right now. You can go ahead and leave your questions in the comment section, guys. Let's stay hydrated with the H2O, guys. Hey, TD, you said to remind – I got you. I got you, Shiggy. Oh, man, if I can stop the chat from moving. All right. All right, Shiggy, you're all taken care of, bro. All right. I bet Brian Flores was like, coaching defense ain't easy when you actually have to coach and can't just stand there and let Bill do his thing. Rayo, I think you're misinformed, even with that comment. I am a diehard Dolphin fan. I'm with the rebuild, TD. That's what I'm talking about, Dolphins life. That's what it is, man. I'm coming to that conclusion. I know it was one game and it's early. It's too early to conclude that, but I'm kind of leaning towards that. It's a solid rebuild. People are just arguing about how we're going about the rebuild, and I think that this is the best way to actually do it. I found myself earlier today putting myself in a general manager's mindset. I sat down and I said, okay, if I'm in this front office, what is going on right now? And I could only come up with one conclusion. He said, you sound muffled. Can you all hear me? Y'all let me know how the sound is. Let me know how the sound is. Shout out to Cedric Clemens with the $5 donation. Anybody who donates to this channel and help me out continue to do this at a high level, thank you so much. Everyone who donates to the PayPal and Cash App, thank you so much. The links are in the description below, guys. You're fine, TD. I can hear you. Okay, cool. So I put myself in the general manager's hat. I'm going to answer y'all questions in a moment. Let me just talk to y'all for a second. I put myself in the general manager's hat today, and I said, okay, TD, if this was your team, and I'm not claiming to be like I would be the greatest GM of all time. I'm not claiming any of that stuff. But TD, if this was your team, you came in and you met, if you were Brian Flores and Greer, either or, and you came into this organization before the season started, when the Patriots won the Super Bowl, as Brian Flores, how do you go into that interview? Like, what is the plan that you laid out to them and said, this is what we need to do and go forward? And I thought to myself, I said, I know the history of my team. I know what we've been through. I know what has worked and what hasn't worked. And we don't want to do the things that hasn't worked over and over again, hoping for a different result and engaging ourselves in a form of insanity. So what if you were Brian Flores? Forget Brian Flores. You're TD and you're in there interviewing with Stephen Ross to get this job. What do you bring to them? And I thought to myself, if I'm in there, I'm telling those guys straight up, listen, I've studied the Miami Dolphins. We need to scrap it all. We need to start from scratch. We need to build this team the right way. And let me talk to you about how we could do this sooner rather than later and at an accelerated pace. I've noticed what you all have done in the last few years, which is accumulate a lot of young talent and also have a lot of good veteran talent as well. At the end of the day, when I look at your roster breakdown, I look at it and I say, most rebuilds take 3-4 years. This team can be done in 2 years, going into that third year, ready for war, going to a Super Bowl. And the way that I envision that is, you take all the players that are veterans that we can automatically agree that 2 years from now, 3 years from now, they're not going to be on this roster. Tannehill 3 years from now will be an aging quarterback. Plus, at the same token, look how much money you're allocating to him. You can go get an asset for that. Cameron Wake 3 years from now, he only has 3 years left of his prime. If he's not already out of it. You can go ahead and gear up to accelerate your build instead of doing it piece by piece every year. Robert Quinn, same situation. Go get your assets. Kiko Alonso, same situation. Go get your assets. Kenny Stills, same situation 3 years from now, running in his 30s. Why not go and get your assets? Because at the end of the day, if you think that you're necessarily going to win in the next 2 years with those guys, then tell me what evidential proof you have that you can, because you had those guys for the last 2-3 years anyway. You had those guys the last 2 or 3 years anyway. So what purpose do you have of holding on to them if you already know they are not going to be the future? Now I'll tell you who is the future on this roster. Your young players like Laramie Tunsil. Your young players like Xavier Howard. Your young guys like Mika Fitzpatrick. Your young guys like potentially Bobby McCain. Those are your future. So what I propose we do is take all those veterans, and Rashad Jones is in that boat too. Go get an asset. But I've already looked at your salary cap situation. I know that if we can't find anyone to trade for him, we'll have him for a year. But after that, go get your assets. So that when you sit back, you're going to have, and I know Tunsil is gone. I'm running you down the day Flores came in the door. This is how I could have imagined me having that interview. I know Tunsil is gone. We're going to get there, guys. Follow me on this journey, okay? So Greer and Ross, this is how I look at it. You got me. If you're going to sign me, I plan on you signing me for 5 years, and I want to be here and build something special. If you're signing me to be your head coach to win this year, don't even waste your time. I'm not going to sit here and even set a false expectation. I have bigger goals and aspirations for my future, but I'm not going to let y'all set me up for failure and basically expect me to win this year when I look at this franchise and I know what we're dealing with. I know what we're dealing with. So if you're hiring me to try to come in and turn this thing around this year and win for you this year, don't even hire me. Don't even hire me. You're rushing the process. But if you're looking to build something 3 years from now, you can see the results of all the moves we're going to make this year and next year, then I'm your guy. I got the game plan. I know what we need to put together. I know what we need to accumulate to get this organization at the top. So step number one, I would recommend we clear house and only keep our youngest, most talented players. Get every asset you can for me to use at my disposal in connection with Greer to build this team the right way. My guys, the winning way. Real coaching. And what we're going to do at that point, right when we do that, we're going to draft young players. We are going to bring in undrafted players, free agents that are untraded. We're going to bring in so many young guys. I want this year's camp to have 60 new guys in it. All people that people don't even know who they are. And my goal in 2019 and 2020 is to find 8 to 10 guys out of that whole group that can move forward with us in the future. And out of those 8 to 10 guys, I want 4 to 6 of them. I'm going to develop them as starters in this league. 4 to 6. 8 to 10 guys are going to be on this roster long term, and 4 to 6 of those guys are going to be day one starters. Day one starters. Let us coaches go to work and develop some talent. Now you mix in the people that we develop with the talent that we're going to end up keeping, and then you put those draft picks that we've accumulated together, we're going to have our roster that's going to be ready for war 3 years from now. But again, if you're trying to compete right now so much and win right now, we're going to compete. We're going to try to do our very best with what we have and try to win games. We're going to do the very best we can, and that may equate to a lot of losses, or we might surprise the world and win. But no expectations either way. No expectations either way. But that's what we need to do. And I believe that's exactly the conversation, something along those lines were had at the early stages. And they hired this man. They hired this man. And he came in, and he's already completed phase 1 of his plan. Got rid of all the guys that are not going to be here anyway in 3 years, except for one person, which is Rashad Jones. Except for one person, which we already knew. Look at the salary situation. After this year, we're not on the hook. He's already brought in 60 freaking players and turned at least 4 to 5 of them into guys that might be on this roster long term. Preston Williams, Sam Egwavon, Lemons, and a few other guys. 2 of them starters, 1 of them or 2 of them maybe role players to come. And he's going to do the same thing next offseason. Same thing next offseason. And then a wrench got thrown in there. A wrench got thrown in the plan about a week ago. A week and a half ago, a little wrench got thrown in. Actually 2 weeks ago, the Houston Texans said they wanted Laramie Tunsil. Well, what do we do now? We said that he is going to be a cornerstone player for the future. The Houston Texans are offering us Jadeveon Clowney and a first-round pick. The Miami Dolphins turn it down. They turn it down because Jadeveon Clowney and a first-round pick isn't worth it. You know why? Because first and foremost, Laramie Tunsil is worth more than a first-round pick. I agree with people's notion of why would you trade away your top of first-round talent just to go find another one? I get that. And then on top of it, Jadeveon Clowney is young, but he doesn't want to sign with Miami long-term anyway, even if we made the trade. So why would you do it? And lo and behold, the Miami Dolphins were smart. They told the Houston Texans, kick rocks. We need a whole lot more than that if you want this kind of deal to go through. They did their due diligence and held on to their young future talent and said no. A first rounder, Clowney sounds impressive, but no. And then they came back and said, well, if Clowney signs a long-term deal, we'll give you him in the first round. Miami still said no. They said they needed a little more. They needed a little more. And what happened at that point? The Houston Texans said, it's go back to the drawing board. They did their due diligence again, securing their young left tackle for the future. And then they came back and they said, we'll give you Clowney, a first rounder, and a second rounder. The deal was done. Miami said, now we're talking about a little extra capital. The deal was done. I will actually tell you all now, that would have still had been a great deal for Miami. But then Jadeveon Clowney didn't want to come to Miami, so it scratched it again. And Miami said, never mind. And then the media came out and said, why are you trying to trade Tunsil? Brian Flores says, we don't currently have a trade on the table for Tunsil because we didn't anymore. Until Houston got desperate. And why did they get desperate? Because their coaching staff is on the bubble as well. No one talked about that. Their coaching staff is literally on the bubble saying, we got to do something now. We done had some talent for a few years now, and we're on the hot seat. We got to win. Who cares about leveraging the future? Because if we don't win anyway, we won't be here to enjoy those future draft picks anyway. So who cares? Let's go for broke. Let's give them 2 first rounders and a second. Let's give them 2 first rounders and a second. Yes, we already know they're winning the trade, but we're going for broke. Who cares? And this is a classic case of when you got a GM and a coach, both of them feeling like they're on the hot seat, and they both might get canned if they're not successful this year. So who cares about the future? Let's try to save our job. Let's go for broke and bring in Laramie Tunsil and give them all those assets. First round pick this year, first round pick next year, and a second round pick next year. Yes, we're about to pay a hefty price, but does it matter anyway if we get fired? We got to do something. And they did it. And the Miami Dolphins were smart to take advantage of their weakness. Now, did the fan base like it? For the Miami Dolphins, half the fan base understood. You can't pass up on that. Half the fan base didn't understand. And I think one of the main reasons they didn't understand is because they feel as if it sends a bad message to all your players. No matter how good you get, we will trade you. And I think that might have been the wrong thought process to have. No matter how good you get, we won't trade you. But if a team is going to be stupid and give us 2 times worth your value, we have to trade you. We have to trade you. Because I don't know many teams in the NFL. I don't know any team in the NFL, to be quite honest, that would have said no to that trade. I don't know any team that would have said no to that trade. That was a massive return and payday. And who knows, we might look up to realize that the Miami Dolphins pulled off one of the biggest trades of all time, but we don't know that until time tells. But I can tell you one thing, that trade is already trending in the Miami Dolphins' favor. Why? Because if Miami Dolphins kept Laramie Tunsil, it wasn't going to make any difference for the next 2 years. Not only that, Tunsil gave up 1 sack for Miami Dolphins last year. Last night alone, he gave up 3 sacks in 1 game. 3 sacks. 3 sacks late, and one of them was a major sack late in the game. Late in the game, major sack. And Houston Texans also lost the game, which works in the favor of the draft pick that Miami got from them to potentially to potentially be a higher pick. I can't even tell